how to listen to audiobooks and where to get them, a beginner's guide. Don't forget, all of these links are on the Huey.net website for today's date under the Windows SIG. So in this article, the publisher is adapting nonfiction and graphic novels by using audio soundscapes to fill in what might be lost with no visuals. How do audiobooks work? After Thomas Edison created the first spoken word phonograph record in 1877, not 1877, he predicted technology might one day allow books to be listened to with great profit and amusement by the lady or gentleman whose eyes and hands may be otherwise employed. The advantages of such books over those printed are too readily seen to mention, he wrote in the North American View. Such books would be listened to where now none are read. Deloitte predicts that the global audiobook market will grow to $3.5 billion in 2020, a 25% increase. Talking books first emerged in 1932. 1952, Cadman Records became the first company dedicated to selling spoken word records to the public. Their first release, a collection of poems by Dylan Thomas, was narrated by the author. 2008, the Library of Congress credited that recording with launching the audiobook industry in the United States. Now, how to listen to audiobooks versus a printed book or an ebook. The evolution of the spoken word mirrors innovations in the music industry. Books on tape replaced vinyl audiobooks. Streaming superseded compact discs, and smartphones are replacing all else. As the audiobook industry flourishes, so is the number of ways you can listen to audiobooks. Academics have studied the differences in comprehension between reading a book or listening to one. One study concluded that for the average reader, the two elicited a comparable comprehension and retention of text. But why posture audiobooks as a replacement for printed text in the first place? Often audio is not competing with time spent with books, but with people listening while driving, during exercise, or when reading a physical book is impossible. Are audiobooks for you? And the article goes on. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but where do you get them? That's what I'm saying. I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about Audible, and I'm going to talk about Scribble, and I'm going to talk about some other things. So let's go ahead and look at my mini presentation here. And for those of you out of town, well, I'll explain some things as we go along, but I'm going to probably add some things to this and make it a full presentation, but let's there we go. Okay, since the main audience, or I shouldn't say the main audience, but the audience that I am sending this to is sitting in Seminole County at the, usually you're at the library, but now you're at the American Legion, but the Seminole County Library System is a good place to get audiobooks. According to them, your Seminole County Public Library card provides you access to free digital content, including ebooks, but also audiobooks and magazines, music, and videos. Now, if in Seminole County, your Seminole County Public Library card gives you the access to these audiobooks, the services that are available through your library, and it's free with your card, is Overdrive, Hoopla, and something called Tumble Book Library. Overdrive allows you 5 books per card at a time, and that can be either ebooks or audiobooks. Hoopla has 4 per card, and you can check them out for 7, 14, or 21 days. With Hoopla, 21 days, and there's no limit to the Tumble Book Library. In order to use them, there are some instructions that you can click on. This is from their website. You can click on those, and it'll give you instructions on how to do it. The Libby app you can get for iOS or Android, and the classic Overdrive app you can get for iOS, Android, or Kindle for the Overdrive. And Hoopla has iOS, Android, and Kindle, so you can pretty much on your phone or on your Kindle. And Tumblebook is just iOS and Android. Now here's some examples of some audiobooks from the Seminole County system. You'll notice as you look through the titles, you can see whether it's an audiobook or an ebook, or if it's something else. And there are literally hundreds, if not more, titles available. And here are some more that are available. These are audiobooks, and this is from a featured page. You can you can look them up by category, by recommended, by popular, and so on. So you have access to all of these audiobooks for free from the Seminole County Library System. Now, what if you live in Orange County, which is Orlando? For those from out of town that are online, Orange County is Orlando, and that's just south of Seminole County. You'll notice here they have, for the audiobooks, they have Hoopla, the same one. They have Overdrive, the same one. But they have something called RB Digital as well. And here are some examples of what the page looks like and some of the books that you can get for free, again, using your Orange County Library card. And they have it broken into categories, as probably most of the libraries do, but you can see nonfiction, fiction, literature, thriller, politics, whatever you're into, there's audiobooks available. And again, they also mentioned for Orange County something called RB Digital, e-audio, formerly One Click Digital. And here's some information about it. It's just another service. And again, if you have a library card from Orange County, you have access to that system just by putting in your card number and a special PIN that you have set up with your library card online. Now, I'm in Manatee County here in Florida. Now, Manatee County, you'll look for what they've got. You've got to go into their database database area, and you've got for audiobooks, you've got Hoopla, you've got Overdrive again, and you got the RB Digital, just like Orange County. So the same services are available from library to library, but some have some different ones as well. So again, check your local library and see what they have. Now, Sarasota, which is the next county south of us here, and that's where obviously the city of Sarasota is in, their system, what you do there is you go to what's called the digital library, and when you do, you'll see that they have Cloud Library in addition to Hoopla and to the Overdrive. And again, they have tutorials that you can go to, click on it, and it'll tell you how to download, how to use them, how to sign in, sign out. So for those of you who are out of town, check your local library system and see what they offer. Almost all the libraries now are offering this. There are some digital stuff that they don't have, but most of them now are doing audio books. And we're going to listen to what some of them sound like in just a few minutes, or yeah. Now, if you don't want to use your library system, or if there are some benefits to using some of the paid services that are out there, one of them is Audible. And they have 30 days of membership free that you can try. During that time period, you can get one audiobook and 2 Audible originals just to get you started. After the trial, you get 3 titles each month, 1 audiobook and 2 Audible originals of your choice. You can exchange them. If you don't like an audiobook, you can swap it for free anytime. You can cancel anytime. Your audiobooks are free to keep, or not free, but they're yours to keep forever in Audible. And the reason I mention that, you'll see that when I talk about the other paid service that's out there. But Audible runs $14.95 a month after 30 days. You can cancel at any time, and there's some different subscriptions available and some limits to what you get for one and how many books and so on. Now, another service that's out there is, let's say, wait a minute, let's talk about Audible one more second here. Audible is strictly audiobooks. Yes, they have over 100,000 audiobooks. Audible is similar to Netflix Originals, offers original content exclusive only to them. And since Audible is owned by Amazon, you can listen to your audiobooks through your through Alexa, and you can also listen to Audible books in a dozen different languages. You can even choose from abridged and unabridged versions. Audible compatible devices, all iOS devices, all Android devices, Windows phones, Kindles, SanDisk and Creative MP3 players, Victor Reader System, Braille Note and Apex Braille Note, Garmin and TomTom GPS devices, and Mac and Windows computers. So there's ways of listening on all of those devices. Now, another audiobook supplier or a deliverer is called Scribed, and they're $9.99 per month after 30 days. They have a 30-day trial as well. They have unlimited audiobooks. If you remember, there's with Audible, you can only get, I think it's one book and two originals. With this, it's unlimited, and you can cancel at any time. Now, Scribed offers audiobooks and more. They have ebooks, magazines, and research papers and sheet music. Now, those aren't Audible, but those are things that are with part of your subscription. So you're not going to get magazines read to you. You're still going to have to look at them online. With a premium membership from Scribed, you can enjoy thousands of different audiobooks in different genres. You can also access short stories, essays, articles, and documents. Scribed also offers some original content that you can only listen to with a Scribed membership. Scribed compatible devices, Apple devices, iOS 9 or newer. This includes Apple Watches. Now that's iOS 9, not an iPhone 9. So that's the operating system. So a lot of your older iPhones are using 9 or 10, I believe is the latest version. Android systems that are Android 4.4 or higher, and then Kindle devices with Fire OS 4 or higher. This does not include the Paperwhite. Now, Scribed versus Audible content. Audible and Scribed both offer an extensive library to their listeners, but Audible is the clear winner here because it offers basically every book for a price. If you are determined to listen to a specific book that just hit the shelves, Audible is probably right for you. If you're looking for more than audiobooks like magazines and research papers, then Scribed is right for you. Download ownership. Audible is better if you want to keep your library forever. Scribed works more like Netflix. Once you cancel your subscription, you can no longer access the content. Compatibility, both services work on most smartphones, which is what most people will use. If we had to pick a winner, it would be Audible. This is from the author of where I got this information from, but we doubt that's a major factor to most users. Most people are going to listen to them using their phones, their smartphones, so they shouldn't have a problem with compatibility. Price, if price is the major factor, Scribed is definitely cheaper. Like most services these days, both Scribed and Audible offers free trials for newcomers to test out their products. Now, I wanted to give you some examples of what an audiobook sounds like, because to be honest with you, I never heard one. I never listened to one. And so I went looking, and I was concerned about copyright, especially the fact that we record this. And so I went to YouTube, and I found this recording that's more of an advertisement to try to get people to read books, to be hired as readers by this guy. But he's showing several examples of some of the people who read the books and what that sounds like. So I thought it was a good video to play. So take a listen. There's not really anything to watch. It's mostly the sound.
Hi, this is Pat Fraley. As I visit different regions around the country this year, teaching audiobook skills and guiding talent into making audiobook narration book deals and making demos, I thought it might be of value for you to listen to some examples of wonderful narrators and get a sense of how their personal styles vary. It should be an encouragement to you to hear the varied styles which are needed for audiobook narration. So here goes. Here's the superstar of audiobook narrators, Scott Brick, reading an excerpt from What Makes Sammy Run by Bud Schulberg. There's nothing particularly unusual about Scott's voice. It's all about connecting with the listener and his storytelling abilities at unwinding that story. Also, Scott has the ability to give you the style of the piece. Notice how he takes on the feel of a 1930s or 1940s movie that's perfect for the book.
The first time I saw him, he couldn't have been much more than 16 years old. A little ferret of a kid, sharp and quick. Sammy Glick. Used to run copy for me. Always ran. Always looked thirsty. "Good morning, Mr. Mannheim," he said to me the first time we met. "I'm the new office boy, but I ain't gonna be an office boy long." "Don't say ain't," I said, "or you'll be an office boy forever." "Thanks, Mr. Mannheim," he said. "That's why I took this job, so I can be around writers and learn all about grammar and how to act right." 9 out of 10 times I wouldn't have even looked up, but there was something about the kid's voice that got me. He must have been charged with a couple of 1,000 volts. "So, you're a pretty smart little feller," I said. "Oh, I keep my ears and eyes open," he said. "You don't do a bad job with your mouth either," I said. "I wondered if newspaper men always wisecrack the way they do in the movies," he said. "Get the hell out of here," I answered. He raced out, too quickly, a little ferret. Smart kid, I thought. Smart little yid. He made me uneasy. That sharp, neat, eager little face. I watched the thin, wiry body dart around the corner in high gear. It made me uncomfortable. I guess I've always been afraid of people who can be agile without grace.
Now listen to Renee Rodman as she perfectly balances reading with embodying the characters with a reality in this excerpt from the young adult book Wesley, The Story of a Remarkable Owl by Stacey O'Brien.
I was a little nervous about asking if I could bring an owl home to live with us, but she just smiled and patted her horse on the neck. "A barn owl? Won't he be a great addition to the family?" "Wendy," I said, "I'll have to keep dead mice in the freezer and cut up mice in the fridge. Would that be okay?" "Meat is meat," she shrugged. "I mean, a lot of mice, Wendy." "A lot of mice? How many is a lot?" "Well, probably thousands of mice as time goes by." "How long do barn owls live, anyway?" she asked. I'm not sure how long they live in captivity, maybe up to 15 or 20 years. "Well, I think you should do it," she said. "It's the chance of a lifetime."
Here's an excerpt by Carrington McDuffie from Abiding Darkness by John Aubrey Anderson, where we hear her wonderful skill at doing some strong character work.
"Boy," he never called Mose anything else, "there ain't never gonna be no drink better than coffee. 'Cept in heaven, I reckon." The frail old man nodded and spoke as he bent to put the cup by the rocking chair. "'Cept in heaven is right, boy. Gonna drink from the fountain that don't never run dry. A sure enough pure river of living water, clear as crystal, proceeding straight out of the throne. Now that's a drink to shame the best cup of coffee on the place."
Now, here's a sample from Kata Mazer, narrating from the Nanny Diaries. Kata is a stellar reader, but by her own admission, has a kind of vanilla voice. One of her greatest skills, and one that is sought after by producers and publishers, is her ability to connect to the listener by giving the impression she's reading to one person.
If there were any justice in the world, this is the point when all nannies should be given roadblocks and a stun gun. These rooms are destined to become the burden of my existence. From this point on, 95% of this apartment will be nothing more than a blurred background for chasing, enticing, and point-blank pleading with the child to put the Delft milkmaid down. I am also about to become intimate with more types of cleaning fluid than I knew there were types of dirt. It will be in her pantry, stocked high above the washer-dryer, that I discover people actually import toilet bowl cleanser from Europe. We arrive in the kitchen. It is enormous. With a few partitions, it could easily house a family of 4. She stops to rest one manicured hand on the counter, affecting a familiar pose, like a captain at the helm about to address the crew. However, I know if I asked her where she keeps the flour, a half hour of rummaging through unused baking utensils would ensue.
Here's my friend and wonderful actor, Richard McGonigal, who is fully capable of doing character voice work, but in this excerpt from Roosevelt and Churchill, Men of Secrets by David Stafford, Richard keeps to a rather dry read, almost reporting, which I think is perfect for the book.
Franklin Roosevelt learned of Hitler's attack on Western Europe late on the evening of 9 May 1940 in a telephone call from his ambassador in Belgium. Ensconced in his favorite red-leather armchair in the second-floor study of the White House, surrounded by his collection of maritime pictures and models of ships, he listened grimly to the news of simultaneous attacks by more than 100 German divisions on Belgium, Holland, Luxembourg, and France. 90 minutes later, the first reports began to filter in of bombs falling on Brussels, Amsterdam, and Rotterdam, and he stayed up until the early hours to digest them.
Here's Hillary Huber reading from Going to Bend. She has that skill of giving the listener the impression she's reading right to them. Also, Hillary is wonderful at making bold character choices.
While Petey diced 50 carrots, Rose read aloud from the weekly newspaper about old Billy Wall, who had just been indicted on sodomy charges. You know what I think? I think if he did what those kids say he did, the guy deserves to have a bad thing happen to him. I mean worse than shame and a jail term. I mean something bad. They should take him just like you'd take a carrot and peel him down real slow. You know, real careful. Layer by layer, until you've got him peeled naked as an egg. And then you bring him to Hubbard Elementary and you lock him in the gym with 20 mothers with baseball bats. You put some Gatorade in there and some high-nutrition snacks and maybe have an alternate or two who can substitute when one of the women gets tired. She traded Rose the peeler for a paring knife. The son of a bitch.
Now here's an excerpt from Better Than I Know Myself by Virginia DuBarry and Donna Grant. It's read by one of our favorite readers, Lisa Renee Pitts. We hire her for all the books we have produced written by African-American authors. Listen to how Lisa Renee reads as if she becomes each character, including the author's narrator.
I wish they'd all go to hell. Carmen felt the throbbing bass of her brother's stereo vibrate the steel fire door as she shoved her key in the last of 4 locks. How you gonna throw that card down? She knew Z and some of the fools he hung with were in there, playing pinochle or dirty hearts, eating greasy egg rolls and pork fried rice.
Now here's Raven Kane reading from Jewel Plum Sykes' book, Bergdorf Blondes. Raven's voice and performance are just right for the material.
The Upper East Side wife I met is called Muffy. Apparently it was once a very popular name in Connecticut, where most Muffies were born, roughly in the middle of the last century. This Muffy, like all her neighborhood Muffies, says, "Ralph Lauren is my drug of choice." She's also addicted to Botox injections.
What book would benefit from your narration skills and style reading? What is your personal style? I'll be near you to help.
Okay, that does it for that recording. I think it gives you a really good example of the different, what the books sound like. I had never really been, I've never really listened to an audiobook, and it gave me an idea. You know, when you're driving, what a great way to listen to something other than the junk that's on talk radio or on some of the music and so on. Just listen to a book, especially if you've got a long trip ahead of you.